welcome back. I was talking about the game objectives that we're going to create right now, and I think you understood. But don't worry if you don't understand clearly the game objectives. You will understand while we create this game. So the first thing is we need a lot of balls, and that balls will be created dynamically, and that balls will be positioned randomly on the screen, and each ball will be generated in 1 second interval. So at each second there will be a ball on the screen at different location, at different position randomly, and each ball will have a unique number, or maybe a number. Two balls can have the same number, but balls should have a number, and we should show the number like on the ball, like at the center of the ball. So the first thing we need to change is inside this ball class over here. So what I'm going to do is, let me press Ctrl, Alt, and L to format the lines over here. And now inside the ball class, I'm going to introduce a field variable, which is a number of type integer. Let's say number, and we should pass the number when we create the ball as a constructor parameter. And we should not provide the position, because I told you that the ball's position would be selected randomly. So we don't explicitly provide the position. So I can remove these argument from this constructor. Instead, what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say required this dot number. So when we create a ball, we should provide a number. So as you can remember that in our game class, we created a ball of type of a radius of 20, and now this time we don't need to provide position. Instead, we need to provide a number. Let's say the number is 10. Just from now, let's say the number is 10. So now we need to show this number at the center of the ball so that we can know what number this ball or that ball actually holds. Okay, so since we didn't provide any position, the ball is centered at the top left corner at the 0, 0 position. Okay, don't worry about it. So inside the ball class, we need to show the number. So this number will be shown as a text. So to show a text in the game, we have a special component called a text component. Okay, so I'm going to declare another field variable. Select text component. Let's say this is txt or number component, number text component. And now I am going to override the onload method, and inside the onload method I'm going to initialize the number text component. So I'm going to say number text component. That would be a text component. And as a first parameter, perhaps we need to provide the string. We can provide a nullable string, but we have to provide a string. So this will show the number as a string. So I'm going to say dollar and number. Okay, this one. And now what I'm going to do is, we need to provide other arguments. We need to provide other arguments like the anchor point where the text would be. I think the anchor would be center. So the anchor would be anchor dot center. And also I need to provide the position of the text. So this text component should be at the center of this circle component. So the position would be simply size divided by 2, this one. And then, okay, what is this? What is the problem with this one? I guess it says too many positional arguments. Okay, so this one is not a positional argument. This is a named argument. So we have to say text. Okay, now it's good. Okay, so we have provided the number as a text. We have provided the anchor for this text component. We have provided the position, and now we need to specify how big the text will be. I mean the font size and the font color. And we can provide another argument, which is a text renderer, which actually requires, what does it require? Text renderer actually requires a text renderer. Okay, so let's say text paint. So text paint is a type of text renderer. So text paint, and inside this text paint we can specify other things like a style. So it recurs as text style. So text style from maybe material.dirt. So text style, and let's say the color would be, since the ball is white, the text color should be black. And also the font size, let's say the font size is 30. Okay, so now we have this text component, number text component. We need to add this number text component to our ball by simply adding text component. Okay, text number text component, that will be number text component. Okay, so now if I run this application, we know the ball is at the top left corner, and I think we should be able to see the number. So the number is not fully visible because we even can't see the whole ball altogether, but I think the number is a bit big. In that case, let's reduce the font size to 25, and also, okay, just for now, let's provide a position for this ball, like a position that would be like vector 2. Maybe if you want to know the game size, I mean, if I say 100 by 100, but you have to remember that we are inside this ball component. So 100 by 100, so it will be measured relative to this ball component. Okay, so what if I want to know the game size? So if we have this size attribute, right? We have this size attribute, but we don't, this size is actually the ball size. But what if we want to know the actual game size that we get inside the game object? So inside the game object, we have this size attribute that actually represents the size of the game. But what if we want this size attribute inside other components? What should we do? So remember, I think you are a Flutter developer, right? And you are familiar with the stateful widget. Okay, you are familiar with the stateful widget. And a stateful widget is we have a widget and then we have a state. Okay, so let me create a stateful widget anywhere in this. So let's say my dart file and say test widget, test underscore widget. I'm going to remove this in a moment. And let's say stateful, and let's say test widget. Okay, so you see that whenever we create a stateful widget, we have a widget class and we have a state class, and we can access this test widget from inside the state object. We automatically get a parameter of type widget. So this actually indicates the test widget. Similarly, we can do something similar in our component class. So I'm going to remove this test widget. I'm going to remove this, save, delete. And okay, so now we need to know the game size, or we need to access the size property of the game. What we need to do is, or maybe we need to call a method which is inside this game class. We can also require that at some point. Then the thing is, we can add a mixing to any component which is has game reference, and we need to provide the actual game name, in our case, which is my flame game. So my flame game, this one over here. So as soon as we add this mixing and indicate the game object, or this name of the game class, then we automatically have an attribute called game. So this game actually a reference of my flame game, and since we have a reference of this game, we can access the size. So we can say game.size, and game.size.x. Let's say the position would be 0.10, 10% of the x, and maybe game.size.y, 10% of the y-axis. So now if I hit run, then we should be able to see the ball somewhere here. Okay, so 10% of the total width of the x, total width of the screen, and 10% of the total height. So the ball is here, and we can see the text through the text component. So now we are able to show the number on the ball, and now we need other balls, a lot of balls that should be generated per second, and the position would be random. And now it's time to introduce to you another super component, which is called a spawn component. And I will show how you can utilize the spawn component in the next lecture.